Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Charleston, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we'll give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. Wherever LeBron James goes, drama and blame deflection always seem to follow this guy. And this is something that really bothers people that we say this, right? Not people, some people, right? But we got to be honest about this. And I'm not going to bite my tongue because I don't feel enough people out there saying it. It always seems as if whatever team this guy joins, drama always ensues. It for whatever reason, that's the case. Now, if we're talking about sports media, if we're talking in terms of sports media, this is great, right? Because it gives you a lot to talk about. But in the end, what ends up happening is that a lot of people's reputations end up getting tarnished in the process of all of this. And I don't think that is a very good team. I was in total amazement yesterday just watching sports media yesterday, and I was I was just like totally floored at how various people out there were trying to put a spin on this mess that has happened with the Lakers this season. I was literally sitting back. Yesterday, we only produced one video, and I was just sitting back and I was watching all of it. And really what I was trying to do was, I was just thinking, okay, what angle are we going to approach this thing in the following day? And yesterday, what was being said, especially by Stephen A. Smith and Kendrick Perkins, when they were sitting there trying to scapegoat people in the Los Angeles Lakers organization, I was totally floored. So for some of you guys who missed some of the comments that Stephen A. Smith and Kendrick Perkins had to make yesterday about the situation with the Lakers, take a listen to some of the comments that the two of them had to make, and we're going to come back and give you guys our thoughts. Take a listen to that there.
In the case of Anthony Davis, here's why I throw him in there. I know that these are legit injuries. He's fragile. That makes him unreliable. And when you know that is your situation, the one thing that we have to pay attention to is just simply asking the question, because I don't know the answer to this question. You and I both know what we hear. But the question that you have to ask is, and that's not bringing the legitimacy of his injuries in the question at all. But you do have to ask, do you maximize everything that you bring to the table from the standpoint of you being in peak condition and ready to go? There are people in the NBA that have repeatedly looked at Anthony Davis, and not just his injuries, they've asked, is he in shape? Is he ready to go? Does he understand who he's playing with and how ready he needs to be in order for these Lakers to be relevant? And on far too many occasions, that question has repeatedly been asked. I don't definitively know the answer to it. Sometimes I look at him and I question his conditioning, KP. Other times I look at him and I say, well, he's gotten bigger, and he needed to, because obviously you got people in the league who felt they could push him around and that just get physical with him and he'd crumble, and that was a stigma he was trying to erase. So he might have just gotten bulky, and he might not be as out of shape as people have accused him of. But it has been an accusation and an allegation that's been thrown in his direction.
You know what, Stephen A.? I was going to come on here and I was going to point the finger at a certain player. And then I had to think about it. I'm going to point the finger at Rob Pelinka. That's who's going to look the worst. That's who's going to look the worst. One is because first he allowed, instead of doing his job and manning the hell up, he allowed the players, meaning AD and LeBron James, to dictate this roster in the first place. Okay, and then here comes the trade deadline. And you make no moves at all. No. You stand still and tell the world we're just going to wait for the buyout market. It's no damn buyout market. All the groceries are gone. So at the end of the day, I'm bringing Rob Pelinka, because then you go and you tell the world that, yeah, we sat down and we talked. I talked with the players and we all decided not to make moves. That's a damn lie. That didn't happen. So I blame Rob Pelinka for not saying, hey, no, LeBron, Anthony Davis, I got this. Let me get this together. Because the fact of the matter is, they took Caruso for granted. They took Caldwell Pope for granted. They took Kyle Kuzma for granted. And they listened to what LeBron James and Anthony Davis had to say. So as bad as I want to come on here and say Russell Westbrook need to play better, and you're right about Anthony Davis, he hasn't got his body in physical shape, which I don't have no clue why not, when you have LeBron James and Dwight Howard in your locker room.
That's right.
So
'Cause the
I'm
White
going to
House
put
did
the
that.
blame
He
on
shame.
Rob Pelinka.
Now, I take a lot of issue with what was just said. I really, really do. I find it offensive because both of these guys know they are not being truthful and straightforward. They know that. And this is the reason why so many people respect Charles Barkley and have so little respect for so many voices in media. Charles Barkley doesn't care about being cool with people. He doesn't care about being invited to any VIP people. The dude doesn't care. What he does is he comes on live TV and he does his bloody job. He says exactly what he thinks. And sometimes in the process of doing that, it creates various contentious situations. You can think about the time with him and LeBron James. You can think about the time when to the point where I think he even said something about the Charlotte Hornets and Michael Jordan's ability to build teams. That ended up being a fallout. There are many times with him and Shaquille O'Neal that they've had blow-ups on TV. But nevertheless, I think he's just doing his job and he's telling it like he sees it. And in the process of that, sometimes it creates problems. But you know what? At the end of the day, at least the guy is trying to be honest. So help me understand something. Let's get back to this nonsense. Help me to understand something. Who put this team together? No, seriously. Who put the Los Angeles Lakers together? Who was the person that made all of those major recommendations as far as the roster? Who was the person that did that? Who was the person that we all know that person was LeBron James? Wasn't it Rob Pelinka that already had the deal in place for Buddy Hield to sign him? And LeBron and these guys were like, no. Let's get Russell. Wasn't it Rob Pelinka? Would the majority of you agree that Buddy Hield would have probably been a better fit for what the Lakers were trying to do, given the fact he's a great shooter and and all of the things that he does? Wouldn't he have been a better fit for the Los Angeles Lakers? Was it not Rob Pelinka that made that recommendation? Let me ask you a question. Who wanted Russell Westbrook? Who wanted Carmelo Anthony? Or Rondo? Or Dwight? Who was the person that lobbied for all of these guys to come there? All of these recommendations came from LeBron because we have been told time and time again that LeBron James makes all of his teammates better. So I'm sure the Lakers top brass said to themselves, well, if this is the recommendations that this guy's putting forward, given the fact that we've been told he makes all of his teammates better, he must know what he's doing. Although we have this Buddy Hield deal on the table, although we had an opportunity to get DeMar DeRozan, let's go with this guy because, well, he must know what he's doing. And what ended up happening? The whole thing blew up in all of their faces. The Lakers season has turned into a disaster if we're juxtaposing it with the expectations going into the season. It has been a total disaster. And now it has turned into a blame game and a deflecting game. But this is not the first time that has happened. You don't need to go any further than look at Kevin Love. Kevin Love was the undisputed scapegoat during his time with the Cleveland Cavaliers. He was a scapegoat. Now it's Russell Westbrook, and now it's an injured AD. They're going to blame a guy that's not even there, as long as they don't have to blame LeBron. And now we're going to say that it's Rob Pelinka's fault. Kendrick Perkins said that he blames Rob Pelinka for listening to LeBron. What? You blame him for listening to LeBron, and then you're saying that he should have made more moves before the trade deadline and shouldn't have stood pat. What moves was he going to make? Who were the people that he was going to be able to move? He either had Russell Westbrook, and I think Anthony Davis was injured at the time, if I'm not mistaken. Who else is he going to move? In the beginning of the season, the guy already had the trade ready. He already had the trade ready for Buddy Hield. Now you expect him to make a move with Russell. Who wants Russell Westbrook? Russell Westbrook has been on 4 different teams in the last 5 years, and you expect Rob Pelinka to somehow pull a rabbit out of his hat. So therefore, he's supposed to be able to do what? So now we're going to blame it on him? Are you freaking kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? And in all of that, you don't mention LeBron. I think that entire thing is a joke. This is why people don't take certain voices in sports media seriously. Because you're not calling it like it is. And it's one of the reasons, I'm going to say it again, that Charles Barkley is going to be dearly missed when he leaves sports media. Who are we going to find out there that's going to be able to call it like it is? I think the entire thing is a joke. And no one in sports media should be surprised if you're not taken seriously by the viewing public when you say nonsense like this. I was totally floored that this is what they were saying when you know damn well the number one culprit is LeBron because he's the one that spearheaded this entire initiative.